Yes, madam, you can start.
Okay, hello everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you joining this presentation. We're here today to share with you some perspectives and some thoughts and experience around the power of diversity and the power of inclusion in times of transformation. And Keisha and I work together at BP, the 5th largest company in the world, and in an industry, the energy industry, which is in the middle of an enormous transformation, arguably the greatest transformation of any industry of our time, but one that is seeking to tackle some of the largest and most complex challenges of our time too, and that of continuing to meet the growing and increasing energy demands of the world, and doing that whilst reducing our carbon emissions. And BP has laid out a very clear and coherent plan to achieve net zero by 2050, and as part of that, to diversify its portfolio away from hydrocarbons to a more renewable business and increasingly greater consumer products and customer products in the renewable and sustainability domain. That is a huge ask for a company that is 110 years old and has built an enormous infrastructure and ecosystem around extracting oil and gas from the furthest regions of our planet. And back in 2016, we as a company declared a new strategy that set out our agenda to become more of a focused hydrocarbon company, to invest further in our downstream business with our retail business and lubricants business to develop more advanced customer products and to grow that retail business into new countries. And of course, then to set out a plan to build a sustainable and strong renewables business. But the fourth part of that pillar, that strategy that was launched back in 2016, was digital. And the acknowledgement by our executive team that the transformation of our company could only be achieved if it was underpinned by digital, by transformation of the technology ecosystem and by really exploiting digital technologies for not just optimizing processes, not just simplifying our organization, but creating new platform and digital business models. And that was the first time in the 110-year history of our company that technology had been one of the core pillars of our strategy. And as an IT organization where Keisha and myself work, that was a hugely exciting time, but equally an enormously challenging time where we as a team needed to respond to creating the world-class high-performing IT organization that was going to enable this enormous digital transformation of our company as part of the extraordinary transformation and digital transformation of our industry. And we set about a portfolio of work called Modernize IT. And it goes without saying that digital transformation isn't just about the technology, although of course it is. We're technologists, we're passionate about technology. We have decades of experience in engineering, in software engineering, in developing systems. And that makes challenges such as these hugely exciting. But the reality is that it's much more than that. It's about creating those digital foundations, of course, but it's about building the skills and the capability to achieve this transformation. It's about developing an operating model that that enables those highly skilled individuals and teams to perform at their best. And then, of course, it's about culture change. And when you're really wrestling with some of the most challenging and complex technology challenges of our time, you're wrestling with this balance of meeting new energy demand and reducing carbon emissions, then we need, as a company, we need absolutely everybody to be performing at their best. And when we think about diversity and the journey that we've been on, we think about that in terms of it being good for business. Of course it is. Having the most diverse thinkers, having different perspectives from different environments and cultures and backgrounds is good for business. It creates and it inspires innovation, and it enables the best ideas to come together. But it's not just about diversity. We've worked and continue to work really, really hard at BP, not just to create a diverse organization, but to create an inclusive one, because it makes that there's no value in having a diverse workforce if everybody and each individual can't come to work and be at their best every day. And the focus on inclusion is what we're really going to dwell on during this presentation today, and how the value of inclusion is enormous at times, particularly of transformation, when you need to create this culture of systemic innovation where you need to make your success entirely inevitable and not just accidental. And that comes from having the best people, of course, from all walks of life on our planet, but it comes also from those people being able to be at their best every day. So let me pause there, and I'll let Keisha introduce herself too. I think you can hear us now, Keisha.
Yes, I can. I apologize for my technical difficulties, but I had to make do, and I'm happy to have joined you. And as you said, Diana, we've been going through a massive change and transformation at the current company that we are working for. I'm Keisha Garcia. I'm the director for our cloud transformation activity here at BP, and I've been with BP for 14 years, but in the energy industry, leading transformational programs and as well as large system implementations for 23, 24 plus years. So along the lines of what Diana was saying in our strategy and the things that she covered in reference to diversity, in order to deliver large transformational programs, such as the multiple ones that we have, but one of the biggest ones that we currently have right now that I'm running is our foundational output of moving to cloud and leveraging those cloud technologies. That takes everyone across the entire organization. And in order to do that, it's not just one thing where you can look at referencing one person or anything like that. In order to lead and successfully lead the transformation activity, you have to constantly drive and motivate your teams. And it has to be from a diverse perspective when it comes to thought, the obvious diversity, as well as just locational diversity in all kinds. Because as delivering large, complex enterprise programs, it requires a myriad of skills and capabilities across, as I said, multiple areas: technical skill sets, communication, finance, from project managers to business analytics to software engineers, architects. Everywhere and everyone is necessary in order to accomplish the high goals of transformation. And it's not just transformation from a digital perspective, it's transformation from your mindset, the way you think, what you're doing, how you do it. It's in every aspect. And therefore, the stats prove that in order for companies to be successful, that it really requires that diversity to be there. And that's just that's there within the stats, and those are facts. So when you shrink that down to programs and the activity that has to happen, it's the same. The diversity has to be there. And my idea of diversity is along the same lines as Diana. It's easy to pick out diverse folks and make sure you have a team, but inclusion is the most important part. I always liken it to saying that diversity is ensuring that everybody gets an invitation to the party. Everyone knows about the party and they know about the journey, they know what's going on. But inclusion is when you're ensuring that everyone gets to dance, everyone gets to participate. And the best part of it is when you have leaders that allow you to dance like no one's watching, to work like you're not going to be judged for how you do it or what you bring to the table, but appreciated and respected for those things. That allows you that space to really work in the manner of which you can and bring out the best in you. And those are the things that are key and important, and what both Diana and I mean by the importance of diversity, but also, most importantly, inclusion in that space. So for me, Diana, just to get this going, BP strategy is in our energy transition, all the things that we have to do. Um, how, for me, what are some of the successes, and what do you think? You've taken your experience of leading and developing digital strategies that meets the needs across such a diverse business. How did you create cohesion amongst the team to deliver this? And how did you enable people to feel like they were contributing and feel like they could be successful?
That's a great question, Keisha. Thank you. So I lead our strategy, architecture and planning function in BP, so have responsibility for our digital strategy and the delivery of that in service of our enormous business transformation, and run a team globally that delivers those pieces there. On a personal level, I think of anything that we do as a team deliverable. I think it's always easy to recruit in your own image, and I do it myself. I'm sure you do it too. You seek out people who are like you. But actually the power, the multiplier effect of that diversity of thought and experience is really palpable in times of transformation. And for me, it's been all about seeking out awesome people who are enormously expert in their domain, be that as technical architects, be that as SAP experts, be that as strategists, and seeking out that expertise as a given, as of course it is. They need to be brilliant at their job, but equally looking at what are the distinctive capabilities that they bring. And then thirdly, what is their mindset? Are they collaborative? Do they set the bar really high for themselves and create the environment where others want to do that too? Because at times of transformation, there's no space for I. It's about we. It's about how we collectively achieve these goals, and how working together collaboratively adds 1 + 1 and makes 3. And for me, creating a high-performing team is not about the individuals, although of course it is. It's about the cohesion, and it's about seeking out people who want to get better at what they do every day, and who want to work with others to do that. And one of the things that clearly enables high performance is measurement. How do we measure that performance, and what work? How do you systemically and structurally create that high performance? And at MBP we have learned a lot from others who've gone before us. But on the measurement side, we've used, and I've certainly been using this last couple of years through our transformation period, a set of performance measures that that are used in Microsoft by Satya and Adela, and those that say this. So when I sit down with my team at the end of the year and we say, okay, so what's our performance been like this year? I ask people to tell me three things. One, what have they done this year that's awesome? Because of course that's a given. What have you done that over and above your job to make your delivery brilliant? Of course, and that's about you. But then secondly, what have you done to make others successful? And a really open dialogue around how you as an individual have helped someone else in your team or in another team to be successful by bringing your expertise or your perspective or your challenge. So what have you done to make others successful? And then thirdly, what have you done to leverage the work of others? And that's all about, you know, continuing to build and evolve our solutions and not building silos. It's about taking the best of a design or a solution, regardless of where it was built in the organization, and identifying where it could be put to better use and building it better and enhancing it and developing it, rather than simply throwing it away as that's not good for me because it wasn't built by me or invented here. And those three things, you know, make a really big difference to the environment and culture and mindset of a team. Of course, you need to be awesome as an individual. Of course you do. But actually high performance, particularly through times of transformation, is all about how you've worked together with others to be successful, and then how you've leveraged other people's work to create that multiplier effect. So that's my answer, really, Keisha.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I've witnessed that firsthand. So yeah, that is a lot. That's awesome. For me, from a digital transformation perspective, I truly believe in working as one team, as you said, and as you've aligned. And at the beginning of each year, or at the beginning of or onset of a new phase, new iterations, I always bring everybody together because, again, with the existing large transformation that I lead, it requires different vendor partners, different teams across the space, as I said. So it's easy for folks to begin to compete against each other, as in the teams, as well as individuals. So I bring everyone together to align them around some of the principles and the things that you outlined in your three things that you do. And that is ensuring that, one, we all know the objectives that we're trying to fulfill, and we all have the same goal. So I get everybody together and make sure that everyone knows that they take off all the labels. Doesn't matter if you're from company XYZ, S3, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is we're all one team, and whatever the transformational program is, right now it's CTP. So everyone's CTP, no one's, and that stands for Cloud Transformation Program. No one's anything different. Everybody works within that constraint, so that it takes away anyone focusing on the differences and trying to compete against each other, and appreciating folks for what they bring to the table, knowing that we're all playing on a level playing field here and working towards that. So a couple of things that I think about is just that I think are extremely key, and my strategy for making sure that our teams are working together. The high energy that needs to come in, and I've been accused of having a lot of energy, so which I think is great, because I love that, because I think that that's necessary. It has to be, and we have to remember that we're only as good as our slowest or our weakest person on the team. And it's not about pointing out who's weak or who whatever else. It's just remembering that if there's 20 people, until all 20 folks are at the line, we're not successful. And we have to make sure that each one is helping each other to get through what we need to get through in order for us to successfully get there. It's not about one individual. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about all of us. Mm-hmm. So the 7 things that I try and look at is valuing every relationship. I do. I absolutely try, and it's hard to when you have a large team and a global team, but you do the best you can to value each of those relationships. I think about my team's needs prior to mine. As a leader, that's what you're supposed to do. It's not, again, about you. It's about bringing out the best that you can in your team and making sure that you're bringing them together so that they can be successful, which in turn makes me as a leader successful. It's also about doing things that are helping your team to grow and continuously improve themselves, the product, whatever it is that you're doing. You're continuously trying to make it better. And you're always trying, and you share the credit and you shoulder the blame as the leader. So I'm constantly, when it's time for the successful wins and the successes, it's about my team, and we did this together and what we accomplished. However, when there are some setbacks, I don't have a problem with shouldering that blame, because at the end of the day, that falls on me, and I need to make sure that I'm making everything available for my team to succeed. So it teaches the team to work in the manner as well, and never say that is not my job. I never say that. I'm picking up different things and different whatever else, and I cannot. That's probably my biggest pet peeve, when I bring something to the team and there's the finger pointing that's going on, or, oh, I couldn't pick that up because that's not my job. Your job is to make sure everybody and everything is successful. And if everyone's thinking in that way, then nothing's getting left behind. So we also need to allow everyone else or anyone else to do, I don't allow anyone else to do any of those things either. So as far as the finger pointing. So most of all, being a person of character and integrity, and having empathy, and then working relentlessly to get it done. So those are the things that I absolutely think are critical in order to really, really drive successful transformations, digital transformations, mindset shifts, all those things that actually play into what you also described, Diana. Mm-hmm. So if I have to think about some things,
tell me about your, oh, you and I have worked together a while now, haven't we? And mm-hmm. We've lived through some pretty hairy projects, definitely. And I know the one that you're currently leading, the cloud transformation program, is an enormous undertaking. And certainly when you started it, Keisha, between you and me, I really genuinely didn't think it was possible, certainly not within the timeline. So you talked about your secrets, actually, and how you do that, and I'll definitely take some of those away. But just talk about one or two of the really challenging times through that program, and what are the interventions you've made, and how it felt.
Well, yeah. So as you know, you and I have worked together quite a few times, and I must say that one of my most challenging times was starting a new team in a new space, in a new area, and being on a new leadership team where everyone is already very well versed with one another. And it can be a little intimidating when most of the time when you go to, when you're working in an oil and gas company, you're working in technology, it typically around the leadership table, it's you as a woman, and typically it's another woman, and it's an HR person. Not that there's anything wrong with human resources, but typically it's either you in your role, and the only other woman is the HR person. However, I had the luxury this time of having another strong female and working with me on that leadership team, who happened to be you. So, and that, I must say, because of the differences in trying to figure out how to get a seat at the table, and not necessarily just be there because of the diversity that I bring, the obvious diversity that I bring, but also being included. And I must say, out of all the challenging projects and transformations and areas and things that I've worked on, that had to be the most challenging. And it was about, because no matter how good I was at whatever it was that I did, no matter what I said, no matter what I tried, it just fell flat because I wasn't being included. And I absolutely had no idea, honestly, what to do, even after all of my years of experience moving around, all those things. And the one thing that I've always known is you, when I see another female at the table or someone that is also struggling, that you have to offer that helping hand. And for whatever reason, sometimes we as women, we look around the table and we see that there's 12 slots and there's only two of us. And we, for whatever reason, start to look at each other as competition, or we think that there's only one, there's only enough room for the two seats at the table, as opposed to thinking, why can't all of these seats be filled with women or someone from a diverse background, versus competing. And when I have the opportunity to work alongside another female or another minority or underprivileged group or underrepresented group of folks, and we can work together to help one another because there's power in numbers, that's when it's the best. And that's what helped me get through it, is the fact that, Diana, you absolutely were key to that success and of me getting through that time. That was really hard for me. And that was because you didn't look at me as competition. You looked at me as a person that needed to be supported. And we helped each other. And there were times where I was at my worst and just feeling at my lowest. And I don't know, out of the blue, you would send an encouraging note that was just maybe 3 words. And it was like, wow, how did she know that I was feeling that way? Or how did she know? And I think that's the empathetic side of you that actually could relate to what I was going through. And instead of you competing with me, you helped me and you encouraged me. And being in the room where I'm possibly doing a presentation, I'd look up and I see you with that smiling, supporting face. And that in itself was huge. So the message in all of that for me was the support. We have to learn how to support one another as opposed to competing against each other. And as women, sometimes we don't do that. And when we're in an industry that doesn't allow all of those connections, and you feel like you have to fight to be heard or fight to be seen, don't fight against the folks that are there to help you. Figure out how you leverage each other and each other's skill sets to be able to then provide every single avenue for you both to climb up. Your success is my success. If you're successful, I'm successful. If I'm successful, you're successful. And if we all think in that manner, how could we not be successful? So, and bringing diversity to the table. Those are the things that I think of when I think of some of my hardest moments, but also my most proudest moments, when we're able to do those things together.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's fantastic to see so many women on this call today. And thank you so much for joining us. It's really great opportunity to just to think about how you can create the environment for everyone to be successful and to be at their best every single day. And
yes,
it's not often we talk about these things, actually, is it? We talk a lot about the delivery that we achieve, the outcomes that we achieve, but we have just as much a responsibility to create an environment where everyone, each and every person, regardless of who they are or where they're from, can be at their best every day. And it's a great opportunity just to learn from some of the amazing things that you do, Keisha. And I had no idea that I had that impact. I don't think you realized how impactful you were to me either during that time. But I think the lesson is that we all have a part to play to support each other, don't we?
Absolutely. And so you've heard mine. What was the moment that you felt that you were most impactful and you felt that you were firing on all cylinders, and why? And what made you perform at your best? Because I've seen a lot of those. I've seen a lot of your successes. So.
Oh my God. So I don't know. I mean, I want to say a few things about that. I mean, firstly, I think genuinely, all of us are at our best when 3 things come together. One, that we're good at what we do. So, you know, if we're as an engineer or an architect, you know, I have done this kind of work for a long time, and you know, have quite a lot of experience in it, and probably fairly good at it. But so be good at what you do. Secondly, love it. And I'm super fortunate to be able to jump out of bed in the morning and absolutely love my job, and you know, really, really passionate about the power of technology to transform businesses. And then thirdly, to be connected to the mission and purpose of the company or the organization that you're working with. And for me, I'd say, Keisha, the last 2 or 3 years, I've been incredibly fortunate to be able to have a impactful leadership role in our digital transformation, but also in an organization where I'm personally hugely committed to the mission and purpose of the company. And when all of those three things together, being good at what you do, loving it, and being connected to its mission, you know, that's a perfect storm for me. So I'd say there's lots of occasions when, you know, it's been a really great time and you felt that you're really high performing and working with amazing people to do incredible things and being successful at it. But I'd say this last 3 years, particularly when those three things together come together. And I'd say to anybody who's sort of thinking about their own career or thinking about their future, I'd say, you know, don't look for the job description, don't look for the job title, but seek out the leader that inspires you, the person or the individual or the team that's going to give you that space to grow and learn and be part of something amazing. And seek out organizations that too are growing, that too are, you know, have missions and purposes that connect with you personally, and you know, and seek out those opportunities. And if you're given them to move up, to move sideways, to move across, then you just take that opportunity. I'm sure you're all familiar with Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook. In her book Lean In, I don't know whether any of you read it. You should read it.
Yes.
It's a story, but you know, he talks about career rocket ships, where you know, where you seek out, you know, leaders or opportunities that bring those three things that I described together, and you know, really you propel your career. And you know, if you're offered in her words, if you're offered a seat on that rocket ship, don't ask what seat, just get on.
Right.
And I think that's really true. It's about seeking out those opportunities, seeking out leaders that inspire you and you want to work with, and will bring out your strengths, rather than, you know, looking on LinkedIn for CIO jobs or CTO jobs or whatever. But really using your network and your connection. So I'd say that's it for me, Keisha. I mean, I've been super lucky to do some amazing things.
And you, I've watched in the 3 years you brought a team together, revived some things. But the one thing that I can absolutely say I've witnessed firsthand, and I've heard from your teams that you do, and that is you don't ask your teams to do anything that you wouldn't, and you are amongst your team. I must admit that you send out a newsletter that starts, or kind of like a write-up that you do, and I don't know what cadence that you put it on, but I must tell you, I even though I'm not officially on your team, I'll sneak and I'll ask a couple of people, can they send that to me? Because what you always do is you're very personable, and you bring it down to earth, and you let everybody know, you know, what you've been doing, some of the challenges you've been dealing with. And to me, as a leader, that's huge. And I know that I've heard across your teams, that's huge, because they know you, and they know you personally. They know that you're going through challenges as well. You're not just coming from this ivory tower somewhere. You roll your sleeves up. You actually get in there and you work with folks. And to them, to me, that's huge as a leader. And again, it's showing the point that you made earlier, just making sure that you're including everyone, and you give everyone an avenue and make everyone feel as if they are included. And I think, not to add on to your story, but that is, to me, what's made that piece for you. If you think that that's the last 3 years have been really great for you, honestly, To me, that's made all the difference. It's made all the difference across your team. And the output that comes from your team is quite clear and obvious that your contributions and how you've led has been extremely instrumental in that space.
Oh,
So,
thank you, Keisha. We learn from each other, don't we? And I think, definitely your achievements have been astonishing. Honestly, anyone listening wants to look at BP's cloud journey. If you Google it or look online, you'll see that we're absolutely genuinely leading the industry in migrating to the cloud and then developing world-class solutions.
yes, I have an awesome team, been able to make some awesome partnerships, and some of those things that I said at the beginning have been really, really key to those successes. But it has definitely not been easy. It's been definitely been a hard feat. But again, it's about using and working with every single individual on that team, and making sure that everyone, from the people that are system engineers doing the development to the folks that are doing the testing to the people that are putting the comms together, everyone is important. Everyone is important to the success. And we've actually shut down 2 major data centers, mega data centers here recently, migrated over 4,000 applications. It's been a lot. And technology-wise, did I know everything? No, I didn't. But that's the beauty of when you find a multitude of different folks that bring a different gamut of experience across the table. I'm not supposed to be the smartest one in the room. If I'm the smartest one in the room, then we have a problem. But it's recognizing that and knowing that I'm comfortable and confident in me, in my own skin. So it's absolutely a great thing.
We should pause and open the floor for questions. I think so we have 5 or 6 minutes left. So I think there's some questions there. People wanting to comment. So just question from me, Keisha, actually. So much of
I have a question. If you
would. Okay, good. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Keisha, I truly echo what you say, and I truly actually have lived that. Being a Saudi woman, being a pioneer, as we had no role models, and we had to depend on looking at men as our role models, being Saudi women. I will tell you that, unfortunately, I always say that the reason the men are more successful, not because that we're a minority. When I say minority, I'm not talking about our skills, I'm not talking about our capability, I'm talking about our number. We are when it comes to number. And when I do a lot of my pep talks, when I talk to my students, especially the females, I say, if you just realize that you are a minority in number and that you have to work 10 times, I know for here in Saudi, 10 times as hard as a man to get to his level. I have been a chairman. They still call me a chairman for the last 27 years in ophthalmology. I'm a surgeon by trade. But I think what we lack as females, unfortunately, we don't know how to network. We're very territorial. And whatever I have, I want to keep it. Men on the other, it's like a ladder. One goes up, he'll pull the other one up, he pulls it back up. We as female, we've changed a little. But going through being in a, if you will, in a male-dominated society, especially in my work, where I would sit on a table and I would actually be the only female on that table. I've become one of the men, if you will. I had to be able to survive, be able to reach heights, networking and helping each other. They've helped me. And then when I started going into the female sector, I was really very, very surprised and at the same time a little frustrated, not for myself. I had reached what I wanted in my field, but I did notice that unfortunately there was no networking. And I think we have to be able to share, be able to pull the lady up so the other lady can pull you up and it goes up. And I think hopefully with time, we'll be able to adapt that. So Keisha, thank you very much. I think a lot of what you said, because I always say I'm a double minority. you know, being a female. And I'm not talking about now, you know, Saudi Arabia has changed tremendously in the last 2 or 3 years. So that's
Yes.
why I want compensation for the last 30 years that I wasn't able to do what,
Yeah, no, understood. No, thank you so much for that. Yes, and you're correct. And the one thing that's also, the other thing that's also important is there's no way that once you get to your accomplishments and you get around the table, if you get comfortable and complacent in the fact that you've made it, then that's, to me, that's the wrong attitude. Every time I get promoted or move up, I look around and I'm never satisfied. And I can't be satisfied because it's not about me. It's about making the way and making it easier for the person that's coming behind me. And so therefore, I don't get satisfied and I keep asking the questions around what are we doing and challenging folks to make sure that we're bringing people into the fold and we're bringing more diversity there. And Diana is definitely akin to that because she does that quite well, better than anyone that I've, again, ever noticed, in the sense that without her, a lot of us, including myself, would have never gotten an opportunity to move to the next level, around the table, because she got there and she didn't forget. She didn't get comfortable. She didn't get complacent. She didn't get okay with the fact that she made it. She wanted to make sure that others made it as well and share in that. So those are things that I think are absolutely key, is understanding that it's not about you. You obviously have been, you as in you, me, individuals, you've been blessed to get to that space of where you are. So now make sure you pay it forward and you reach back and you bring the next person up and the next person up and the next person up. And for me, I continue to always be Keisha. Even if I'm sitting around that table with 6 or 7 other men, I am always Keisha. And I say I'm a triple minority. I'm African-American, I have a Hispanic last name, and I happen to be a female. So those 3 things, but at the same time, I stay true and pride into those, or strong in those. I think that's key. Diana, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think it's a point super well made, that we as women can learn from the men, actually, in how they are great at making each other successful. And we should absolutely do that. It's, you know, a successful woman is one who makes other women successful, and we need to take the time out to be conscious to do that.
Yes,
and learn from the men, definitely. And I really hope you do get that compensation, Professor Salvo.
yes.
So it sounds like you've had an incredible career despite all of those challenges.
Right.
And
Awesome.
Inspiration to all of us. But
yes.
I think we're out of time now. We've probably got time for maybe one last quick question, if there was one. Otherwise, we'll leave you to.
I was going to say just a couple closing thoughts.
I'll ask one quick question. Being a strategist, Diana, do you think that diversity in technology has to be included as goal objectives with the same measurements within any strategy to be executed? Thank you.
So I think I understood the question. Were there sort of diversity measures and targets in the strategy?
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. So I'll sum it up really quickly. So 5 pillars to our digital strategy. 2 to do with the technology, 1 to do with the operating model, and 2 to do with people and culture and skills. And within those 2 people work streams, we set ourselves a target to really shift the diversity mix of our team. So IT and BP is roughly 20% female, 80% male. And we set a really audacious goal to get to 50-50 on across all of our recruitment. And certainly in my organization, people, both the headhunters and the recruiters, both our internal recruitment team, both my own team said, no way is that possible. just isn't possible. But you know, no one ever jumped higher if by lowering the bar. So we set that bar really high, and in my team, quite technical specialists, we recruited just shy of 50 people in the last quarter of 2019, and 50% of them were female. And I could not be more proud of that we were able to really genuinely move the dial, not because that was a great outcome and has given lots of incredibly talented women and opportunities in our company, but as I said at the beginning, and perhaps a good place to end, is that that there's such good business for us because we're bringing in that diversity of thought and capability and creating the environment for that success to be inevitable. And so absolutely fundamentally is diversity and inclusion a core part of our strategy. And it needs to be in anyone's. So let us stop there, and thank you very much for listening, everybody. It's great to spend some time with you, and I've learned a lot from Keisha. So
I know.
Me, Keisha.
Oh no, I learn from you every day. Couple of things that I just wanted to. I'll close out with mine, Dinah, and then I'll turn back over to you. But a couple of things that I just wanted to part with that I think are key nuggets that work for me, and that is one is control the things that I can control. I can't worry about managing the perception of others. People are going to think what they're going to think no matter what. So, and everyone comes from different places. And so therefore I can't control that. I focus on the things that I can control and managing those things that I can control and not worry about everybody and what their thoughts are. The next one is never be afraid to be authentic and do you. So do my thing. For the heart and passion was what was meant to dance and your soul was born to sing. That's one of my favorite quotes. And that is, and it's not to be what someone else wants you to be, or say what someone else wants you to say, or think what someone else wants you to think. Be your unique self. Everyone has their own special talents. There's no one person that's the same. Know your worth, set boundaries. Find the courage to leave the table if respect is no longer being served. That is something that I constantly say to folks, because one man's trash is another man's treasure, or one group's trash is another man's treasure. So when you sense that that's not working out for you, maybe there's another door that you're supposed to walk through. There's more than one seat at the table, and therefore see and make sure that you are getting to the point that you need to. And then leading diversely means selfless servant leadership. And those are things that are key for me. Stay humble, stay hungry, and stay grateful. Sorry, Diana.
With that.
Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Yes. May I comment?
Please do, yes.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Diana and Ms. Keisha. And I have a comment, actually, and a question to Ms. Keisha. My comment, since we are talking about male and female, as you said, I think when we are talking about mind and artificial intelligence, so we are talking about a spice, and the human is a spice. So there is no difference between man and a woman. So this is not a question. So there is no need to differentiate between man and a woman in the mind object. So this is my comment. Second,
yes.
I just want to address my question to Ms. Keisha. You mentioned at the beginning about your role in your company, that you are dealing with the cloud. And the cloud, it's to store the data. So I just want to ask you maybe very critical question. We know that the cloud is in the space, or in the cyberspace, and there is no law in the International Telecommunication Union that governs the cyberspace. I mean, the data sovereignty and the data residency is not resolved yet in this issue. So when you sign a contract with a company that provide for you the storage of your data, like Oracle, and you put it in Azure cloud, and there is some problem and disputes. So where do you refer? In which law that is govern this? This is one question. Second, the biggest issue is the cybersecurity. So how can you be sure about your data is secured 100%? So this is a big challenge. How you tackle it? Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe to add to his question as well. I have two comments. One of them is sometimes I feel we are over exaggerating that women and women's rights, and despite at the same time that we are taking our rights. This is one comment. The other comment is, or it's a question added to his question. Sometimes we are dealing with multi-branch kind of situation, like we have mutual contracts, we have mutual agreements, we have mutual researches, and I don't know if you've been through this incident, but how you are employing cloud while at the same time preserving the data privacy rights for each country.
So yes, so really quickly, because I know that we're running out of time, and Diana has some of those. So to the first comment from the first gentleman, thank you. Yes, you are correct. There are no differences in the sense of from a female to a male. Unfortunately, society puts that difference on those things, just like society puts the difference on race, gender, and all the other things. If that wasn't the case in reality of what we deal with, then there wouldn't be a need for all of the equal rights and all of those other all of the things that we're trying to achieve. If those things were already in place and everyone thought that way, that everyone was the same. So I totally agree with you. Everyone is the same within the same as male or female, and we all have our uniqueness of the way we think, the abilities that we've been given, and those are the things that make us unique. So I totally agree with you. However, reality is everyone doesn't, and that is the majority, which is the part of the problem and the issue that we try and fight against. As far as women are concerned, it's not to say that all women are great and men aren't great, or men are great and women aren't great. This entire course was to talk about, or this session was to talk about diversity and the power of that diversity, and specifically the power of the things that we leverage when you are the minority in a group. And unfortunately for us in the oil and gas industry, in the technology industry, minorities are women in around the leadership realm, which is why we focused on saying those things and the power in leveraging and helping one another when you're in a diverse group. Even if you are in a diverse group that is represented by whatever underrepresentation, that could be two men that have a disability. They are in an underrepresented group. They need to work together in order to promote each other and help each other, because unfortunately, everyone isn't going to be thinking the way that they're thinking, or sometimes might not even be considering them because of the fact that they are diverse and different. So those are the things that we're focusing on. And we just happen to highlight women and what we do for one another during this session, because that's what this session was focused on. In terms of cloud, each of the areas, each of the countries, and depending upon where you go, has data sovereignty issues or has data sovereignty requirements. And when you have data sovereignty requirements where you have to keep information in country, each provider has a product line that may offer solutions for those things that act as cloud. and have hypercompute capabilities that are on either connected or disconnected devices that you could use. And also there's edge technology in most of the providers. I'm not trying to promote one over the other. So we currently have a dual strategy where we're using both Azure and AWS. And both of those products have product lines that allow you to work in that vein of whether data has to stay within country or data can be within a massive cloud and you can connect via the internet. And also keeping in mind that the cloud is not some oblivious place that data is just in the sky or in cyber worlds. There's huge, large data centers, and it's Microsoft and or Azure and or Google and or IBM hosting those things for you, and you're connecting via the internet. And or you have, again, product lines that have that high compute capability that is able to deal with those things. As well as there's been quite a bit of development and security within the cloud. I would behoove you to either, there's a lot of information that's available to you online, as well as whether that be with Microsoft or whether that be with AWS. I'm sure Google and some of the other providers have the same. I just know about the two providers because that's what we're using currently today. But cybersecurity and security within the cloud has come a long way. There's a lot of things that are enabled and technology that's there to adjust to the cybersecurity needs that are necessary to keep your company, your data, and your information safe. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time for me to go all into that. And if we did, I could. However, again, we have over 178 different locations across a myriad of countries, and each country has different requirements that we have to deal with. And again, I behoove you to work with your provider to understand and ask those questions of the different product lines that they have to accommodate those things based on your requirement, based on your storage requirements, based on your data requirements, your throughput need, and where you need to connect, whether it needs to be a connected device or a disconnected device. So those are some of the things that we look at across the space, depending upon what we're implementing. Sorry, Diana, I probably took up a lot of time, but
no, I think we're done.
Yes.
I think we're fully out of time now, well over time, and it's ready for the next session. So
yes,
thank you, Keisha. And if anyone wants to follow up with us separately offline, then please feel free to reach out. You'll find us on LinkedIn or other source of getting access to us. So thank you very much again. Lovely to speak with you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.